Hey guys, Ningen here bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and today we are going to talk a little bit more about the Dragon Ball Heroes World Mission banner that was out on JP in the not so distant past and will be coming to global very soon. So we still don't have an update of the exact date. I'm wondering if we're going to see any sort of news updates in the after the maintenance, which I believe is tomorrow. But I wanted to talk about this banner because I did see a post from Goresh talking about this, and there is very much a possibility that I guess none of us, I mentioned it a little bit in my first video that I didn't really know how they were going to do things, but he said it seems very unlikely for them to release a whole bunch of new units onto global that are just unfeatured on a banner. And so the original leak from Team Dokkan did only mention specifically Dragon Ball Heroes World Mission, which I believe has the specific, if we look at the card arts, it specifically says World Mission in the bottom part here. Whereas if we go back to one of the original ones, for example, like this Janemba, who gets an awakening, his does not have the world mission on it. So it's very possible that they choose to keep these as two separate things, and maybe they'll add the other heroes one later. Maybe they'll do two separate banners. There's kind of no way to know, but one thing that seems pretty much guaranteed is that this is the banner that we will get, and these are the units that were on it. So I assume that that means we will be getting these three, and their awakenings will be live straight away, but we might not be getting the rest of the ones that came out on the same banners as them. So it's kind of hard to know exactly what's going to be going on. But I wanted to talk about these specific units. Let's just say the banner does drop and it is literally just this, is just these units. Although again, thinking about it now, that seems so unlikely because there'd be no other SSRs on the banner because it was only Heroes units. But either way, I wanted to talk about all of these main ones, and as the title of the video suggests, why you should summon on this banner. So before we go any further, the fact that it was guaranteed featured is a good place to start. So if you can only drop a couple of multis, you're guaranteed to get at least a couple of these, and they are all very good. The other big thing as well is that because Global very often gets discounted step-ups, I could very much see this banner being something like the thing we are used to seeing now, where like the first three multis are only 30 stones. And in that case, I would say for pretty much everyone, you should do those three multis because all of these units are worth having. So I'm going to talk about these first two are probably the two big ones, especially because this banner is coming hot on the heels of the 4-year anniversary, where a lot of you, whether you pulled the LRs or not, a lot of other units got awakenings with those leader skills. And there's also units obviously like the Gobros. A lot of people are going to be running Goku and Vegeta family teams at the moment, and Goku's team specifically does not have a really good all across the board support unit. You've got ones like the Strength Saiyaman, Super Saiyan 2 from the World Tournament. He's pretty good. But Vegeta's family has things like Bulla, who is 40% to everyone, as well as Ki. They have the EZA Future Trunks, who is very, very good and is a solid unit all in himself. So I would say if you pull this guy, he's pretty much a must include on your Goku family teams. So he does have the leader skill himself. It's a little bit lower than the awakenings for the other units, but if you don't have any of them, it allows you to run his team. His super attack raises attack and causes supreme damage. That is one of the infinite stack ones, so the longer the event, the more and more damage he is actually going to be able to do, which is pretty cool. And then he gets attack and defense 77% at the start of the turn. Now, I'm classifying him as a support unit because that is his main purpose for inclusion in the team. That is very decent for a support unit. 77% attack and defense. Obviously, he's not going to be the hardest hitting unit on the team, although he can build his attack over time. But that little bit of defensive boost means he's not going to be one of those support units that you put in the last slot and then they just take tons of damage whenever they get hit. So that's not too bad. And then his links, obviously he's not a Super Saiyan, but he's got some pretty good links. He does have experienced fighters as well, which is huge. There's a lot of good units on the Goku family team that have that link for an extra 10% attack. Patrol is kind of a weird one. I guess they just put it in because he's part of the like time for, like, because he's Xeno Goku. I'm not really sure. That's probably a link that you're not going to activate, but I guess it depends who else you bring. And then obviously Kamehameha, prepared for battle, like very common links. And he is, of course, a Pure Saiyan, and he is in the Time Travelers. Basically, all of these units, like, they're all in Time Travelers, I think. Any Xeno unit is going to be a Time Traveler. So, next up, of course, we have Vegeta, who is just the exact same thing, but flipped. And like they often do with these kind of units, rather than infinitely stacking his attack, he infinitely stacks his defense. That's actually going to be really useful for when we get the Legendary Goku event, if you want to run a Vegeta family team for that, because the infinite defensive stack means that by the time you get to the very end against Master UI, he'll be taking double digits from pretty much all attacks. So that is very, very good. And then, of course, his passive is the same, but for Vegeta family. And then his links, he has Royal Lineage and Prodigies. He also has Patrol, but he also has experienced fighters. And there are not a lot of Vegeta units that have experienced fighters. So he can fit in very well across the teams that you can use him in as well. And then he also has the Rivals category, but that's the new one on JP. So obviously Global doesn't have that. Goku doesn't have that. But basically those units are pretty much the same. I would say overall the Goku is not as good just because defensive stacking on a support unit is more useful. But obviously they're not really units that you can just use on any team. You're only going to be using them to support their own categories. So they are two very, very good cards to pull. If you just did the 3 multis and you got both of these guys and you have both the LR Super Saiyan 4s, that would be a definite win. So the next one we're going to go on to is Great Saiyaman 3. Now, I never bothered. I played a little bit of Heroes, but I didn't bother finishing the story. So I did not know until this banner dropped on JP that Great Saiyaman 3, spoiler alert, is actually Trunks. Which will be explained in some of the things that we see further down. So he has a Super Types leader skill, 3 key and 80%. I mean, it's not terrible. I feel like at this point, because of some of the stages being so easy, mainly Peppy Gals, everybody should probably have at least 1 copy of the Super Battle Road Goku. So his leader skill, kind of outdated, but his super attack is immense damage and raises super class allies attack by 25% for 1 turn. So obviously putting him in the first slot is super, super useful. And then his passive skill, attack and defense plus 17% and chance to perform a crit 3% per Time Travelers category on the team. So for every Time Traveler on the team, that stacks up. So on a full Time Travelers team, he gets a very significant attack and defense boost. When you see just the 17%, it doesn't look very high. But if you can put him on a team with a bunch of Time Travelers, especially considering he's on Vegeta family, so there's a lot of Trunks units that you can run, you're going to be able to get that percentage very high. So then he has defense minus 30% within the same turn after receiving attack. Counters with tremendous power on receiving normal attacks. So this is a bit weird. The first time he gets an attack, his defense drops. But we did see from the showcases when they came out on JP that as long as you have him on a team with some decent Time Travelers, and especially if you have a support unit on the rotation, his defense is not going to drop low enough for him to take ridiculous amounts of damage. At Rainbow, he is still able to tank fairly well on Super Battle Road, so he is very good. And of course, he is another counter unit, and everyone loves counter units. The Vegetos, the Rage Vegeta, you just get a ton of free extra damage. So that is very, very good. And his counter-attack animation is pretty awesome as well. So his links are Infighter, Hero, Hero of Justice, Patrol, Rival Duo, Respect, and Shattering the Limit. Very dodgy link set, especially for the Vegeta family team. But there is a free-to-play event. I'll probably talk about that more in a separate video, but we mentioned it in the original one when these guys were confirmed to be coming to Global. There is a free-to-play beat that awakens into Great Saiyaman 4, and then they share almost all of the same links. So if you are going to run a team where you want to focus on this guy, he is a super good link partner. He's free to play, and I think he infinitely stacks his... I know he stacks his defense. I don't know if it's attack and defense. So yeah, Saiyaman 3, very, very good. And he's on Hybrid Saiyans, Time Travelers, and Vegeta's family because he is, of course, Trunks, as we said. So Then we jump over to some of our cooler what-if characters. We've got Super Saiyan 3 Gohan. This is his awakening, which, like I said, I assume we're just going to get the awakenings straight away. So he does supreme damage, raises his attack for 9 turns. Not an infinite stack, but still able to do quite a lot of damage. His passive, attack and defense 100%, plus an additional 60 when performing a super. So attack and defense 160% as long as you can get your super attack off. Means he's going to tank pretty well after supering. He is a great addition to the Super Saiyan 3 team that really needed some variety. And his links are pretty great as well. He has experienced fighters. Obviously, he's a Super Saiyan 3, so he has Over in a Flash, limit breaking form. He has Shattering the Limit. He actually becomes the best link partner for LR Super Saiyan 3 Goku on the Super Saiyan 3 team, because he has obviously Over in a Flash and the limit breaking form, but he has experienced fighters and Shattering the Limit for another 2 key. So he is very, very good and is a very good unit, which makes him a perfect link partner. So he is very strong. Hybrid Saiyans, obviously, and Goku's family as well. Very, probably good picks for Hybrid Saiyans team as well, because they don't have a lot of really strong int units outside of LR Gohan, who's just there to deal damage. So then we have the other Super Saiyan 3, which is Trunks. He's the more defensive of the two. He does raise defense for 9 turns instead of attack. He gets attack and defense 100%, disables enemy guard, high chance to guard all attacks, which is 50%. So he has a 50% chance to block all attacks as though he had type advantage. If that triggers the fact that he gives himself 100% defense and has probably supered that turn and raised his defense even more, means he's going to take very little damage. He also disables enemies guard. All that really means for him is that he's able to hit tech units just as hard as he can hit any units other than STR, so that's pretty good. And then he has Super Saiyan, Royal Lineage, Gold Warrior, Cold Judgment, Over in a Flash, Limit Breaking Form, and Shattering the Limit. So he's very good on the Vegeta family team and the Super Saiyan 3. The Super Saiyan 3 team really needed some good extra characters, and of course he's on Hybrid Saiyans and Time Travelers as well. So then we have Sealas. Sealas is the big bad of Dragon Ball Heroes World Mission, and this is a very, very good unit. So he has an all types leader skill, which is not terrible but is not super useful. He causes immense damage to the enemy and lowers defense, and then he gets attack and defense 100% when performing a super attack. He gives artificial lifeform category allies key +1 and attack 20%, and time travelers key +1 and attack 20%. If the unit on the team is an artificial lifeform and a time traveler, they get both. So very, very good. And then fuse when conditions are met. He is a transforming unit, so on turn 5 he will transform and he becomes the fused Sealas, who I think looks awesome. Very, very cool. He then does immense damage and massively lowers defense, and then he gives himself 3 key, attack and defense 60% at the start of the turn, and then attack and defense 120% when performing a super. So if you could get him to super attack before he gets hit, he has a 180% attack and defense, and he is self-sufficient for key. So his links are decent as well. Big Bad Bosses is very huge, the fact that he has that. Thirst for Conquest, Shocking Speed, Shattering the Limit. He's going to fit in well on any extreme team. Obviously he loses his support passive once he transforms, but he becomes a very strong unit, and he's only in transformation boost and time travelers. So it's a very interesting one for me, because I really do want him, but I don't have the transformation boost or time travelers leaders, so it'll be interesting to see where I can actually get some good use out of him. And then the last one to talk about, who's going to be featured on the banner, is Darkness Toa, high on the waifu charts, I'm sure. So she has an AGL type leader skill, not really that great. Her super attack is supreme damage and lowers attack, which is very useful for a lot of game modes at this point. And then her passive, extreme class allies key +3, attack and defense 30%. And then she gives attack and defense 50% and a full heal when you are on 30% or below. So kind of like the AGL and physical Whis, you can get that free heal out of her, but she also gives the team an extra bit of a buff during that turn. And then her support is pretty much top tier. Like, the best support units in the game at the moment give 3 key and 40%, or I guess Kid Buu is the only one that gives 50%, but 3 key and 30% is very, very solid. So, and it's no restriction, it is just extreme class allies. So she is on Peppy Gal's Time Travelers, Resurrected Warriors and Siblings Bond. Resurrected Warriors and Time Travelers is probably where you're going to find the most extreme units, but she can fit into any extreme team as a very good support unit. Very useful for Super Battle Road because of the healing. And her links are Master of Magic, Demon Duo, Battlefield Diva, Rival Duo, Scientist, Thirst for Conquest and Shattering the Limit. Honestly, not great links on some of her better teams. Shattering the Limit and Thirst for Conquest are probably going to be her most useful ones. But there you go. So those are all of the units that are featured on the banner. If worst case scenario is we only get these units, but I think I've made a pretty good case in this video for why all of these units are worth having. I guess, like the comments I made, Sealas is probably the least valuable if you don't have a Time Travelers or Artificial Lifeforms leader. But he's such a good unit. I mean, he'd be very good on Extreme STR if you still need to do that stage of Super Battle Road. But all of these units are very good. Like I say, I highly suspect we will get discount step-ups on this. So I would recommend that everybody does at least those discounts. And then even on the off chance we don't, I would say it's definitely worth throwing a couple of multis at this banner. So let me know what you think down below in the comments. Are you going to be summoning? How many stones are you going to go in? Hopefully we're going to get some good sales because I will go pretty ham on this banner. I definitely want to pull at least one copy of everyone, and then dupes would be nice. So there we go. That is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Master Ningen. Let me know what you think of these world mission units and whether or not you will be summoning for them. And I look forward to seeing your opinions in the comments down below. You can follow me on Twitch or join my Discord. The links are in the description. And I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.